Anybody else want to mic in here? Maybe you want to do something?
I'll paraphrase it.
Just don't misquote him. And get the spin right. You know, there's nuance in all this.
I know.
Come on now.
There's nuance on nuance.
Let me later. You good here? Yeah. All right. So, what brings you down here? What are your thoughts about what you saw and heard?
You know, I was very concerned that the Ronnie Chang case is an example of really overbearing federal prosecution, or maybe even persecution. I mean, here they take a guy who had a legal permit for a dispensary under a state and then local laws, and arrested him, put him in jail. When he got out on bail, they found a way to get him back into jail. And then they wanted a gag order in addition. This is way overdoing it when local laws, state laws, allow compassionate use of marijuana. And someone should not be going through this stage of prosecution for trying to help people have access to medical marijuana.
What is your view when this goes to the jury as to how the jury ought to weigh the facts once they hear court instructions?
Well, you know, I've had some experience with immoral laws, unjust laws. I violated unjust laws in my time and had them overturned. But the jury, and I wish that the jury at that time understood that if they see an unjust law, that they have the right to, in fact, find the defendant innocent. And I hope the jury would do that. That is, here we have state law, local law, all pointing one direction. Federal law really going overboard. I think the jury should say, we've had enough of this. It's time for the federal government to chill out and let the local opinion stand on this.
But it is the law of the land. And well, you're calling for jury nullification?
Well, the jury nullification is the law of the land too, in that there is a process by which juries can say this is not appropriate for this jurisdiction, for this community, and we are not going to find the defendant guilty. I think they ought to do that.
Do you think it's appropriate to use the mayor, the leading elected person of the area, to encourage the law?
We're not encouraging this regard to law.
Encourage that jury nullification is.
We're encouraging to say that federal law is in conflict with state and local law. It's in conflict with state and local opinion. It's in conflict with the public opinion that is sweeping the United States, in fact. And it's time, like with prohibition, to step back and say this was a stupid thing to do. Let's step back, and the juries ought to take the lead in saying that to the federal government.
Do you think that's an appropriate role for the mayor to be taking in a case?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I'm saying that public opinion and the laws of our local jurisdiction have moved in a direction that the federal government has not recognized. And if the federal government isn't listening to the mayor, maybe they'll listen to the jury.
Well, then do you think it's appropriate for the U.S. attorney to tell the mayor or the city attorney how to structure their
They've told me a lot of what to do, yeah. They do it all the time.
Well, you wouldn't appreciate that, would you?
Well, they have stepped into our jurisdiction on more than one occasion, so...
And you don't appreciate it, right?
And they don't appreciate this, maybe. Look, there is in fact law about jury nullification that they cannot be prosecuted for it. So it's a legal situation which juries can take but they're not told about it, and the judges don't want it to be known, and the prosecutors don't want it to be known. I think it'd be good if the mayor and others made it known. All right, this is Peter. This is Ronnie Chang's mom.
Name is Carmen.
Who, like me, does not understand why her son is in jail, does not understand why they took away the bond, does not understand why he was arrested beforehand. He's not a flight risk. He's a loyal and patriotic American, and ought to be treated as such.
Do you see prevailing in this in the short term, the long term? Aren't you throwing sand against the tide, and aren't they just going to double down on enforcement if the city council in some fashion gives an ordinance that you
that's what they told me in 1961 when we violated the laws in Mississippi. They said it's not the right time, it's not the right place, but as Martin Luther King said, it is never the wrong time to do the right thing.
Now he's being prosecuted for operating this dispensary in San Marcos. He's not saying anything, which does have an ordinance against medical marijuana dispensaries. I mean, do you think it's appropriate for you to kind of interfere with another?
Well, this case has come up. It's similar to stuff that we have here in San Diego, and we're trying to make it clear to the federal government that we object to this persecution of local residents.
Absolutely.
It's what leaders do.